Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to continue with chapter number 3, Node.js modules. In lecture 3, we have seen that different modules of Node.js, that is core module. Then we have seen local module and export module. That is third party modules that we have seen. In core modules, we have seen that what are the core modules, then there how we can import that modules using require methods. Then we have seen that local module, what is local module, how we can write that local module, how to import that local modules, what is module dot exports or what is exports here. Then how to load that local module in our application. Then we have seen the export module in Node.js, that is, it includes different types of module. Using that module dot exports, it includes export literals, then export object, export function. Then we have seen export function as a class. Then now we are going to see that load module from the separate folder. Okay, so use the full path of a module file where you have exported it using module dot exports. Load module from the separate folder. How we can load from the separate folder? That means while importing that package, here there is one example. You can see if the log module in the log.js is stored under the utility folder under the root folder of your application, then import it as shown below. Here you can see one file is there, log.js. Okay, that log.js file is stored in utility folder, and this utility folder is stored in the root folder. Okay, so that means whenever we are going to import that module, log.js module, that means we can directly specify the path here. As in morning session I already told you that we can, instead of giving that file name, we can specify the path, complete path of that module. Here we can specify the path, or we can pass the parameter to that required function as a path of that module. Here you can see dot means that root folder is there, then that uh, subfolder of that root folder, that is utility, and that module name. That means this module is stored in the utility folder, and this utility folder is in that root folder. Okay, so instead of that we can also specify the, instead of specifying that module name, we can directly specify that uh, folder. Here you can see like where log is equals to require folder, that folder name with that root directory. Okay, so here in this example, that node.js will search for a package definition. Here see the package definition file called package.json. Package.json inside the utility folder. For example, there is one folder. Under that folder it will search for that package.json file. Okay, this is because that node.js assumes that this folder is a package. Okay, it will assume that this folder is a package, and it will try to look for a package definition. It will search for the package definition inside that folder. Okay, the package.json, that file should be in that module directory. The package.json under utility folder specifies the file name using the main key. Okay, so here you can see that suppose that a module is in that log.js module is in that utility folder. That now if we are specifying that in require function only that dot slash utility folder, that means that node.js will consider this folder as a package. Okay, consider this as a package. Then it will look for that package.json. Here how that, what that package.json includes, it includes the name, that is log, and then main, that is log.js. Okay, this is the package.json includes regarding this file. Now this node.js will find the log.js file using the main entry in the package.json, and it will import it. Okay, so here you can see if the package.json file does not exist, this if this file is not exist in this folder, then it will look for that index.js file as a module by default. That means it will directly look for this file. Okay. So here we have seen that load module from separate folder. How we can load that module from the separate folder, that by using that directly specifying the path of that folder. Then next part is, and the last topic from this chapter number 3, that is opening directories and Node.js directories, operations regarding that Node.js directories, that is Node.js FS module, that is file system module. In that we are going to see that opening directories, closing directories, and some operations, read write on that directory. Okay, so here manipulating files and directories are basic operations for any program. We have to manipulate that files, directories, we have to read write, performing some operations on that files or directories. Okay, so here Node.js is a server-side platform and it can interact with the computer that it's running on directly. Okay, Node.js is a server-side platform. We have seen that. So it will directly interact with that computer. It's being able to manipulate files is a basic feature. Okay, so fortunately, it has a FS module built into its library. That FS module, that is file system module, is built in its library. In Node.js library, it's built in. It has many functions that can help with the manipulating files and folders, like as I said, read, write. Then file and directory operations that are supported includes basic ones like manipulating and opening files in directories. Likewise, you can do the same for files also. So you can do this for both like synchronously and asynchronously. We can perform operations on that files and directories here. So there are, so that Node.js has an asynchronous API that have functions that support promises. Also it can show some statistics for that file. Okay, so we will use the functions in that FS module to open and manipulate the directories. So we will see that functions. The first one is open directory promise. Okay, open directory, we have to open that directory. So which functions we can use for that? So that FS module can open, manipulate, and close the directories. We have functions for opening, manipulating, and closing the directories. Here opening directories with the module is a simple task. Like by using that open directory function, we can open that directory. Here you can see that to open a directory in a Node.js program, we can use open directory function. Yeah, for opening directory, one function is there, that is open dir, that is open directory function. Okay, so it takes a path object as an argument. What is the argument for this function? Path, path of that directory. So that path can be string, buffer, or any URL object. Okay, here you can see one example for that. Here, to open a directory, we can write this sample code here. Okay, so this is the version like Node.js 12 LTS. Okay, or later we can use for that. There are several FS promises APIs are available in these versions. Okay, so here you can see the constant FS. Okay, constant FS is equals to require. What we require? We require, here you can see the in double quote, we require FS, that is file system here. Okay, so here you can see in bracket asynchronous, in bracket path. Then after opening this curly brace, but we are having constant directory. Okay, constant dir is equals to await. Await is for asynchronous here. Await fs dot promises dot open directory, open dir path here. Which path? Here. Okay, so for await, this is the for loop. For await, it will perform asynchronously all the operations. For await, constant direct. Direct is the object of the directories. Okay, so constant direct of directory. That means sub elements of that directory. Okay, so what we are going to print here? Console.log direct here. Direct dot name, name of that files here. So what we are going to print here, direct dot name, name of that files inside that directory. That means we are going to open this directory, and here this path, what the path consists of? Here we are going to pass the path in single quote dot slash files. Here this code will list all the files and folders inside that folder or inside the given folder here, given directory here. Here, for example, this file is one directory having some files like one folder that is .keep, then file.txt, file2.txt. These are two files, and one folder is there inside this file directory. Okay, so this is the way we can open the directory and list that the elements from that directory. Okay, that is maybe files and folders. Okay, so next one is read that directory. How we can read this directory? Yeah, if we are using a Node.js version that's before 12, there are several versions are there for Node.js, then we have to use the older FS API. If we are going to use that later newest version after 12 LTS, then there is no need. If we are using the older version, then we have to use that FS older FS API, which does not have functions that return some promises. Okay, so we have to use the read dir function, read directory function, instead to list the contents of a directory. Here the read directory function has two arguments. First one is the path object, path of that directory, which can be a string, URL object, or a buffer. And the second argument is a callback function. That callback is for when that's called for when that result is produced. After producing result, that callback will operate. Okay. Then the first parameter of the callback is like error object, which is defined when there is an error, and the second is an array with the actual results. Okay, so there are two arguments for that read directory function. First one is path, and second one is callback. Here you can see the example that we want to view the content of, for example, file folder. Okay, that is root. In root directory this is present, that is file folder. So we can write like constant fs is equals to require fs. Okay, then here now fs dot use read directory folder here. Fs dot read dir in bracket in double quote pass the path of that directory. Okay, then comma second argument is inside the bracket error e double r comma items. Okay, this is the callback. We are going to read the directory, that is we are going to open the directory and read that directory, and we are going to return that items of that directory. Okay, so after the here see the syntax of read directory. Here this is the path and this is the callback. After this we are going to write some after reading we are going to perform some operation like for constant direct of items. There may be several items we can say available in that files or that in that directory. Then it's what we are going to print here. We are going to print console.log direct. Direct means the object or that elements of that directory here. Okay, so here you can see it for loop is there for constant direct of items. That means it will check for the all the items in that directory. So here you can see what output we will get here. It will return that similar file we are going to read here. That means that file is having one folder and two files here. It will return the items from that directory files. Okay, this is the how we can use read dir function here. Then here you can see there is also synchronous version of that read directory function, that is called as read dir synchronous. Here you can see the syntax or the method name or the function name of that read directory function, that is asynchronous version of that read dir function. What it takes? It takes one argument. It takes one argument, that is path object. Okay, for asynchronous or for synchronous version, it takes only one argument, that is a path object, which can be a string, URL object, or a buffer. Okay, so it returns an array with the content of the given directory path. It returns the array with the content of the given directory path. So we can do the same thing by writing the following code here. You can see the code here that we are going to use that synchronous version of read directory. Here you can see first we'll write that constant fs, that is file system object here, then is equals to required to import that file system here fs. Then after that constant items one variable is equals to here fs dot read dir synchronous version here sync. Okay, so fs dot read synchronously. read directory synchronously. In bracket, that path of that, it has only one argument, that is path object. Path means the path of that file here. Okay, so after that, what we have to do here, it will return the array with the content. So we have to check all the content. So for that, use for loop for constant direct of items. It will check all the items from that directory and print console.log direct. We are going to print that element from that, or the direct from that directory. So here, after, if we run this code, so what we will get, we will get the output that we have seen like this. It will read all the contents from the directory, like what are the contents available in the directory, like folders and files here. Okay, so here you can see that open directory function and its synchronous version. Open directory synchronously function, let us get the directory resource handle of the folder with the given path object. Okay, so whenever we are done with that opening and opening the directory with the open dir and open directory synchronously and manipulating it, we should close it. Okay, after opening any file, we should close that file. Okay, so similarly, if we are going to open that file synchronously or asynchronously, and we are performing any operations like read write on that file or directory, so after performing or manipulating this, we have to close it. Okay, to clean up any reference of it from memory, to prevent that memory leaks. For that, we have to close that directory file. So to do this, that node.js has a close function, okay, which takes the callback function with an error object parameter to get the error when there is any error. Okay, so that close function is having call parameters like, uh, it takes only a callback function. Okay, so it will close the open directories resource handle asynchronously. So there is also a synchronous version called like close synchronous function. Here you can see that close synchronous function. Okay, so that takes no argument and closes the directories, okay, directly. So here you can see that example for that closing the directory here asynchronously here. First, we are going to open the directory here using that fs object, fs dot open dir. In bracket, we are going to pass, it takes two arguments. One is path and another one is error. Oh, sorry, we can say the callback here. We are going to provide the path of that file, then comma, in bracket, error, error if there is any error with that directory. Okay, this is the callback for that. So with that, after opening this directory, what we are going to perform here, we are going to print that directory here. Okay, so console.log inside the bracket dir, then if dir dot read, that means we are going to read that directory. If is there any error with that, error direct here. After performing some operation, at last you can see dir dot close, that means we are going to close this directory asynchronously here without specifying any parameters here. Okay, without giving any arguments to that close function. Okay, so we are going to directly close that directory here using dir dot close. Okay, so when we call this close on the directory resource handle, yeah, directory resource handle, in the callback, the read function which closes the resources and frees up the memory. Okay, it will, after closing this file, it frees the memory. That means there is no chance to memory leaks here. Okay, it will prevent that memory leaks. Okay, then see the open directory synchronously. We have seen that synchronous and asynchronous part for the all this read directory and close for open. Okay, now open directory synchronously. This is the async. This is a synchronous version of open dir function. Okay, open dir function we have seen. This is synchronous version of that open dir. Yeah, it can be used with the read synchronous function. That all the synchronous functions we can use what we can say there, by combining that synchronous version. Yeah, we can use this. Uh, it can be used with the read synchronous function to get the directories metadata. We know the metadata what it is. Okay, so to get that directories metadata, we can use that read synchronous function. Here you can see the example for that open directory synchronous function. Here, constant, there is one constant for uh, fs for opening this file, that is required. What it required, that means we are going to import this fs, then one constant, take one constant directory, that is directory handle here. What we can say, that is equals to fs dot open directory synchronously. Here you can see the syntax. It takes the argument as a path. Here is the path name. After that, constant dir data. Okay, another directory handle to read that open directory synchronous. We are going to open the directory synchronously here, synchronous version of that open directory function. Now we are going to use that read synchronous function with that directory. That means dir. What the dir contains? It contains that open file. So use dir dot read synchronously. Okay. So now print that dir data. That means what contents they are having. Okay. So here console.log dir data. Okay. And at last close synchronous. Here now you can see the synchronous version of close here. dir dot close synchronously. All the synchronous version we can use combinedly. Here you can see, here you can see the dir data variable. This variable will have something like the following output. Here here we are going to print this variable. Here you can see console.log dir data. What it contains? It contains the dir dot read synchronously. That means it read the directory and return the data here, like direct name of that directory here, dot keep, and type of that directory and the number. Here one directory is there. Okay, so this is the output of this file. That is direct name of that directory with the symbol and type and the number. Okay, then another example here you can see, like to get the path of the currently open directory. How we can get the path of that directory? Okay, so here constant fs is equals to require fs, then fs dot open directory. We are going to open one directory here. Okay, with that parameters like path and what callback here. Then we are going to print that directory path, like using path function, using path object. Here you can see console.log dir dot path. What it will return? It will return the path of that directory. Here that path we have already mentioned here, dot slash files. What it will return? It will return dot slash file. Here you can see the output of this code. Okay, so this code is for getting the path of that currently open directory. The directory we are opening, it will return. If you want to get that path of that currently open directories file, that time we can use this directory dot path here. Okay, here you can see that the output of the row is the output of the first console.log statement. Here, as I said, this is the statement of this is the output of this statement, console.log directory path. It will give as the path name of that file. Okay, here the read function without any argument returns a promise that resolves with the same direct object as the example above. We have seen the example what it returns. Here if we read the directory, here you can see we have opened the directory, read the directory, and here you can see error dot direct. That means we are going to print the direct from direct means that elements from that directory. Here console.log, that is direct, means we are going to get the output like that elements from that directory here. Okay, so the output of that, it is the direct object here, which has the name of the first file in the directory. This is the first file in the directory, that is keep. Okay, this is the folder from that directory which we are going to open here. Okay, then listing multiple pieces of directory content with open directory. If one file is, or one, if there is any directory like abc1 is directory, inside the directory there are multiple directories or multiple files. So how to list the elements from that directory? So here there is one example for that. Here write constant fs is equals to require fs, then fs dot open the directory. Here with the object of that file handler, open the directory, use give by passing that parameters like path name and callback here error. If is there any error, it will return. Okay, then callback here directory. Inside the bracket print console dot log directory path. First it will print the path. Okay, then using that directory handle directory dir dot read that directory. Okay, inside that pass the parameter. If is there any error, it will give the an error. Otherwise it will proceed further, that is direct. It will give us a direct from that directory. Okay, so inside that we are going to print console.log direct. Similarly, again read, then print that direct, and at last close that directory. Here, if execute, we will execute this code, it will give us, first it will print the directory path, then number of direct in this directory, like direct name, first file, then their type, and second file, then their type. Okay, this is the way we can list the multiple elements or multiple pieces inside the directory. Okay, or the contents of that open directory. Yeah, we have seen this explanation for that example here. Okay, so whenever if you want to get that first two items in the directory, okay, or one of first or third, then based on our requirement, if you want to get the items from the directory, then how we can access this? We can access this using dir.read. We have seen this dir.read here. Here you can see we have seen that dir.read. You can see example for this, how we can access these first two items from that current directory. Here you can see take one file handler for that constant fs is equals to required fs load that or import that file system here. Then after that, take fs this file handle and open the directory with that asynchronously. Here you can see files, then call back asynchronously, open that directory and print that directory path. Then here you can see constant take one variable item one is equals to await. Await is here. Here you can see. Then directory dot read, it will read the directory and print that item. Similarly for item 2, await directory dot read and print that item and close the directory. Here what is the output for that? We will get the folder contains. Okay, what we will get here? Here we should get the same output as what we had above, assuming we got the same folder contents as before. Here you can see like files and the folder names. Okay, so as we can see, it's not practical to use those methods, like we cannot use these methods in practically, like returning only two items, returning only three items. Okay, so this example is for the read function, how we can read the elements or items from that current directory here. Okay, then next, yeah, this example we have seen here. If we want to get the number of items here, that is, here you can see, if you want to get more than two items, here we have seen for only two items. If you want to get more than two items, then we can use the loops here. Okay, so here you can see constant fs and is equal to require fs, import that file system here, and with that object fs dot open the directory asynchronously with that callback here, and use while loop. Here you can see while item is equals to await dir dot read. Okay, and close that while loop and print that item, and at last directory dot close. Here if we run this code, what we will get? We will get all the contents of that directory here. That directory, inside that directory, number of folders, number of files. Okay, all these are where we'll get as the output. Here we will note that here you can see, here we use await keyword here inside the while loop, await keyword. So what it will do, it will repeatedly run the dir dot read function here. Here you can see await, what await keyword will do, it will read, it will repeatedly run this await, or sorry, it will, the await will repeatedly run this dir dot read function. Okay, until it is null or it will return undefined. That means at the end there is null, that means all files are what we can say return or read by that file handler. Okay, so await will repeatedly run this function. Okay, and at last it will print that all the items from that folder. Okay, or directory, and at last close that directory to free this memory. Okay, so here direct, to check if a direct object is a directory, we can use is directory function, or to check that that current item or that current direct is a file, for that is file function is there. Here you can see the example how to check that current directory is a file or it's a current direct is a file or directory. For that there are two functions, is directory and is file. Here you can see the example, constant fs is equals to require fs here fs dot first open the directory asynchronously with that error and that callback here. Then while item is equals to await dir dot read, we have seen that await will repeatedly run this command, okay, this function, and after that print that what we can say contents or items from that directory. And how we can check that it is directory or it is file, for that one function is there for checking that is return file or return element is directory or file. For directory, console.log is directory. If it is directory, use dollar inside the bracket item dot is directory function. Similarly for file, item dot is file function. Okay, and at last close the directory. If we run this code, what it will give output as if, after checking the rent name of that file, and if it will check if it is directory, no, it is not directory. Okay, so it will return as false. Is file, it is true. That is, next one is direct name that file.txt. It is directory, no, it will give as false. Then is file, yes, it is file, true, it will give as a true. Then it will check for next direct, that is file2.txt. It will check for directory, is it directory, it will, if it is directory it will. So now here you can see the file2.txt is the file, so it is not a directory, so is directory colon false, it will give. On is file, yes, this will give as a true, so it will give as a true and false result for that is directory or is file function. Okay, so we have seen that how we can check that element from the directory is a file or directory here. Okay, so thank you. So this is the end of your chapter number 3. Okay.